Okay, so first of all, I want to apologize for not being thorough enough in my previous video regarding this question. Many comments reflected a misunderstanding of why the approach taken by Joe, and frankly, any reasonable person's attempt to resolve this question, is the incorrect way of going about it. I merely said it was the wrong approach. I didn't explain why it was. So let's go to the computer. Now, I love this wallpaper. I used to have a black lab and I drew a picture of her here yesterday. Unfortunately, she died right before Christmas in 2024, but it is what it is. All dreams end, whether they're fulfilled or obliterated, but nightmares are forever. Anyway, so one group of you thinkers wants to say that the question is about the gaming industry and that there are no games worth playing. But no games worth playing and no games are very different things. You can still play games, even if they're not worth it. And I mean, you were playing a lot of games in the comments. So another group was suggesting the idea of trying to solve this algebraically. There were many comments like this. This is one specific one, but there were many using this same thought. And the issue here is that the assumption made is that or is the same as equals, and then they remove the no games from either side to get unlimited bacon or unlimited games. Now, this is an operator error because or is not equals. So we can move on to the next one. Okay, so now many more people kept invoking logical explanations. And many also kept emphasizing that the question is phrased as games, unlimited games, but no games, placing significance on that first games prior to unlimited games. And I myself considered how the full question specifically uses no video games when contrasted with unlimited bacon in the first choice, but only games in the second option. And I find that for our purposes, it doesn't matter whether video games is considered logically identical to games or not, because the part of this that becomes problematic only ever refers to one kind. So it doesn't matter if we phrase the question like this, where we have games as different from video games, or if we phrase it as this, because in all of these, only the second option here is the one that becomes logically a problem. And so we'll look at this set, or rather just this one, and we will go to Paint for it. So we have unlimited bacon and no video games, or we have games, unlimited games, but no games. So this here is an issue of redundancy. In fact, it's a violation of the law of idempotency. An operation is idempotent if a statement combined with itself yields the original statement. And now we can argue that games and unlimited games are not the same proposition, but when treated as separate, we fall into another problem. Conjunction, introduction, combined with entailment. So entailment means that if the first thing is true, the second thing must be true, which in a true way is written as follows, where because you have an unlimited amount of games, you necessarily have games. And it must be written this way because if we switch it around, right, if we have games, we necessarily have unlimited games. We know this to be false. Now, if we have A being true and B is true, we can say that this is a true, we can just say that this is true because A is true and B is true. Therefore, we can derive at this and we can say that this is deductively valid. However, because Q is adding no new truth conditional value to unlimited Q, this conjunction is vacuous, and this is a violation of economy because this becomes logically equivalent to just this by itself. Now, this is the way that I always saw people phrasing it in the comments, but I took the time to make this first invocation of games meaningful in itself. So that is written as so here the problem is an issue of the intentional versus the extensional, and here the intentional with an S, this means that it is referring to ideas or concepts, whereas extensional refers to material things. And let's start with the intentional because that one gives us no resolution at all. So this section claims that the concept of a video game is identical to the concept of an infinite number of games. And as we established through entailment, this is conceptually false because they are not conceptually identical. And so the intentional biconditional is strictly false. And if this is false, then this becomes, Q becomes false. And so then you have a false and not false, which is a contradiction. Now, the extensional is where things get somewhat interesting for us as thinkers, as ponderers. So if we have 0 games and we have 0 unlimited games, Q is false, and we're saying that this is also false, which together creates true because false is false. That is a true thing to say. And because Q is false, we're comparing it with a not false, and so we're saying a true and true. And so while this does result in a true value, we achieved it by defining a reality in which we have absolutely nothing. Now, throughout the video, the original video, I framed it as unlimited bacon, but no games or unlimited games but no games. And I think this is the most honest representation. So intentionally, we are holding the concept of unlimited games while simultaneously denying the very essence of games. And because unlimited games intentionally entails games, we're asserting that games and no games, and this is explicit and immediate structural contradiction. And extensionally, we can't do this. There is no row on a truth table where a variable can be true and false at the same time. The math completely breaks down and outputs an unresolvable false. And now I can already hear some people going, you know, quantum mechanics and superposition. But this is a popular misconception, right? Many people think that a qubit and superposition can be true and false at the same time. This is not actually the case. A superposition means the particle is in a linear combination of probabilities before it is measured. But I'm not a quantum mechanics guy. I'm somewhat interested in it because of my studies on consciousness and my metaphysical subscription to idealism, but the quantum realm is a bit over my head. I did go to a STEM school, but I studied philosophy, right? Primarily medieval theology and mysticism. So I hope that this has cleared up why I described the question as a koan and why it is unresolvable. If you haven't seen the original video that this is a follow-up to, please go ahead and check it out. Man, Windows is just so bad now. Microsoft has spent so much time and money making Windows just the worst, putting all this effort into Copilot and AI. They could make everyone happy by just throwing everything away and giving us the 3D Pipes screensaver. I mean, this is just magic.